November 14th, 1932. Iraq's first soccer team, Ash-Shorta, is founded. Go Green Harps! Welcome to The Revisionists, the show where we try to punch up history. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is a wonderful comedian who is a regular at Comedy Works, Janae Burris.
Hi, I'm Janae Burris. Hey, guys.
Janae, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Our last episode, Alfred Packer, we threw to a listener vote, and it was very, very close. In the end, the original history won out. So nothing changes about Alfred Packer. Still a cannibal.
Yeah. Actual reality 2. Fake made up bullshit 5?
6, I think, actually.
The reality of a thieving cannibal, I don't know a better story than that. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
that sounds like the alternate version.
It does. Who went on to become a security guard.
Right.
Yeah.
Who got paroled. That's still the craziest thing about that story.
Yeah,
to
there's
me.
always hope.
There's always hope.
The idea of a thieving cannibal who went on to become a security guard sounds like the setup for like a Fast and Furious style movie. Like, I don't do that anymore. That was my old life. Dedicated to the law.
Yeah, that's what happened in Drive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They never said what his backstory was. Could have been cannibalism.
Right. That's why he's chewing on a toothpick to keep from eating Carrie Mulligan.
Oh. She's so adorable. Who could eat that adorable face? Although,
I mean, they do say you could eat it, right?
yeah, I could eat that face. I could eat that face. Yeah, I see. Never mind, I
With
see.
cannibals, you never know if it's fawning or a threat.
Today's episode, we're back to our coverage of ancient history for the next few weeks. Tonight we're discussing Empress Wu Zetian.
Nice.
Amazed I didn't fuck that up any more than I did. To this date, the only female leader of China in 4,000 years of history.
Emperor.
Emperor.
Yeah, emperor.
Puts the purr in emperor.
That's as said by someone who's immediately poisoned by her.
I mean, you don't get to be the only female emperor in China's history without making a few enemies.
Right?
Original poster for the Social Network.
They're like, that's not what this movie's about.
Yeah, it was weird.
I'll be presenting the actual history. Janae, you'll be doing the alternate.
Yeah.
And then Zach, you'll be judging.
Yep.
For the
Judging.
second week in a row.
Yeah.
Look at that
He
face.
seems
That's a
very
judgy
comfortable with it, too.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
judge all day long.
Yeah, the word judge
Everybody I
doesn't...
meet.
He's not afraid
Kittens,
of that
I
word.
judge kittens. That kitten's great. That kitten's terrible.
Boom.
face. What makes a terrible kitten?
Pattern, mostly.
Oh.
They can't even change that.
I mean, I didn't come up with the rules.
Yes, you did.
Emily Post has a very strict guide to kittens, I'm afraid.
I just want to start off by saying the histories and the different accounts of Empress Wu are completely fucked because half of them were written by people who hated her. Mm-hmm. Half of them were written by
Haters.
People, yeah.
Haters. She had
you know what they're going
haters.
to do. I think we all know what they're going to do.
Haters gonna hate, right?
Wrongful histories after the fact.
It's like haters gonna hate.
Yeah, flame
That's
posts
what
are
they
just
do.
wrongful histories in the present tense.
That's what
Yeah.
they do. It's like Hillary Clinton. Haters.
Haters.
I want to note that most of the ones that I've done actual histories on in the ancient histories section have been mostly unreliable
Oh,
scraps.
completely. Yeah. And then we make it the alternate history anyway, so
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
so it doesn't matter.
We're just adding more fuel
Yeah,
to
in
that
1,000
fire.
years, there's going to be like, oh, Hannibal was in a dance troupe. It's going to be like believed widely.
Cleopatra had that advice book.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, half of them were written by people who hated her. Half of them were written by her family or people who followed her. Piecing together her history was like trying to tell a story based on Yelp reviews. It was fucking insane. A lot of this is what's widely agreed upon. And then some of it is people say this, some people say that. Mm-hmm. Wu Zetian was born into a wealthy family, and because of this, she had opportunities that weren't afforded to a lot of other people of that time, men or women.
You're saying that wealth creates opportunities?
Actually, one of the articles I read on her was like, she had servants, so she had time to study. I'm like, well, history is fucked. But
I'd like to hear how Zach pronounces her name.
Give it to me one more time.
Wu Zetian.
Wu Zetian.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I don't think it was like Wu Zetian, something like that. Depends on who you listen to.
Shaitan?
Well, it was just, you have to have that sort of, that Chinese inflection about it. That's the most
The different
important
tone,
part.
yeah.
It's the tone thing.
That carries all the meaning.
It was very, I wrote it down.
Went into like a very
Phonetically.
specific phase of like trying to figure out the exact pronunciation. So I'm like, I am just going to fuck this
Saying
up.
that little pronunciation key on Wikipedia didn't do the trick.
It did not, because it listed which tone of Mandarin to use, but not what that tone was.
Wu Zetian, something like that.
That sounds accurate.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
clip that over any instance where I use her name. It's gonna sound real weird. But she had the opportunity to study government, music, literature, and better herself, and she could hold discourse in all these subjects. And then at age 14, she's taken to the palace to become a concubine for the emperor.
Right.
'Cause-
So at 12, she could hold discourse with all of these.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then
This is the first part of the story I don't believe. There's just this ridiculously charming, precocious, knowledgeable 12-year-old running around the place.
right,
It's
it's like
absurd.
Doogie Howser, but she eventually forces people to commit suicide in front of her.
Right.
Also, a weird turn in Dookie Howser season 3 when he's 14.
Yeah. Also, one of the official titles that she is granted when she's a concubine literally translates to charming lady, which I found delightful.
I was unaware there were concubine titles.
Yeah, she was actually the first emperor she was a concubine for. She was a 5th level concubine.
Oh, wow. Is this
And
a joke?
Nope, not a joke. They actually...
Like a Jedi.
Exactly. It was like a Padawan concubine sort of situation.
Did you go after the defensive or offensive skill tree?
Right, where did she invest her talent points? While she is concubining for Emperor,
Sure.
Yeah.
Taozong, she begins a relationship with his son, who eventually becomes Emperor Gaozong, and he promotes her to 2nd level concubine,
Nice.
which is, so it's like a
Moving
pyramid
on up.
scheme for sex.
Moving on up.
Everybody waits for the day they get called into that office.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Dream big.
Good news, Janice.
I'm gonna start having more sex with you, I guess. She eventually has 4 children with the emperor and becomes really the main rival of the empress. And then at one point, her infant daughter dies. And a lot of the reports at the time say she died of strangulation. And Wu blames the empress for this. Again, this is where the histories differ. Some say the empress did it, and some say Wu killed the child. Some say the child died of natural causes and Wu just took advantage. So they're all over the map.
I think we know who killed the baby.
We all saw that episode of CSI. CSI Ancient China.
Right. It's pretty obvious.
It was Lyndon B. Johnson trying to become Emperor of China without realizing he hadn't been born yet.
Right.
No matter what happens, Wu accuses the Empress. That still doesn't get the Empress deposed or doesn't make Wu Empress. So after that, she accuses the Empress and her mother of witchcraft, and the Emperor pretty much immediately executes them after that.
Wow.
So that's the hierarchy of things in ancient China. Witchcraft is worse than infanticide.
Well,
Yep, that's about right.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
agree.
so
Zach and
let's
I
be
seem
honest.
to
I mean-
agree here on that. Yep.
how many children are you going to kill if you turn crops into whatever? Salt.
Yeah. It's a much
Exactly.
deadlier
If you turn crops
evil.
into salt, it's true.
Classic
it's for the greater
witchcraft.
good. It's utilitarian. So after the Empress is executed, Wu becomes the new Empress, and she is so well informed that she ends up collaborating with the Emperor on a lot of his decisions. And then he suffers a stroke and is debilitated. So she sort of takes over.
That's that golden ticket.
You made a money gesture with your fingers right before you said that.
Wu was making that gesture when she heard the word stroke. She was like, yep. Cha-ching. Her eyes turned into dollar signs.
Yeah, because they had dollars back then.
Now the history is muddled.
So after he has a stroke, she becomes the de facto ruler, and he starts to become uncomfortable with it, but she's like, what are you going to do? You're paralyzed. You can't do shit. And then eventually he dies, and she places her 3rd oldest son in charge, but he starts sort of rebelling and following his wife more than his mother. So she has him step down and puts her youngest in charge and just tells everyone he has a speech impediment and she's going to talk for him.
Nice.
So, and yeah.
That's so messed up. Dang.
Yeah, that's... And then eventually she just has him declare her emperor. Because she's like, you guys weren't believing the speech impediment shit, I guess. So she becomes the emperor and creates her own dynasty. As a ruler, basically all the histories agree on this. She was very efficient. The people loved her. She expanded the test you could take to become a civil servant in China.
Right.
So that everyone could take it.
About time.
Right?
I mean, that was one of her best ideas, I think.
Yeah.
You know, take nepotism out of it and make it based on merits. And she was right. She was right. How can she be hated for that?
I like the idea of saying about time to something that happened in like 1000
About
BC.
time.
About time.
It happened in like 650 AD. but
And
still.
now we don't do it anymore. We're back to the old way. I think she had a good idea.
She lowered taxes for the peasants, which was most of the population.
Yeah.
So it seems to be that mostly like the common people loved her or were just like indifferent, and the nobles and the people in power were the ones who were angry at her.
If we assume that whoever wrote her history hates her, still the fact that she lowered taxes and hired people based on their skill and merit, I'd say even if a hater wrote that,
Yeah.
she's pretty dope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the haters have their priorities messed up a little bit.
Haters can't even hate on that. They're like, man, she lowered taxes, man. You got to put that in.
I don't know.
Haters gotta hate, but not all the time. Right?
not all the time.
I mean, I think Republicans do a pretty good job of hating on poor people. So,
But she, again, as Empress, she repelled uprisings that were targeted at her partially because she was a woman and they weren't used to seeing a woman in charge. All the histories also agree on the fact that she was fairly brutal, but that's not uncommon for a ruler of the time. After she took the throne, in 1 year, she eliminated 15 different family lines with possible claims on the throne. She instituted what is basically like an anonymous comment box that became the basis for her secret police force, where people can like inform on their neighbors or people like that, which that's what it turned into. People would submit false reports.
yeah, I would imagine.
Snitches
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Except snitches get riches in this case because they were well promoted.
I thought it was just a suggestion box.
But it's a suggestion that like, I suggest you poison this person. One of her favorite methods of execution was summoning people to the court and having them commit suicide in front of her.
Dang.
Yeah, that's cold.
Yeah, that is...
Wow.
Yeah, don't fuck with Wu.
Woo ain't nothing to fuck with.
Wow. Okay.
Nice. Nice, Zach.
You have to imagine the brackets in that sentence.
I mean, yeah, obviously some brackets.
One of the interesting sort of turnarounds in history in her story is, much like she was a palace concubine, she took on many male lovers who were essentially her concubines. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah,
This lady sounds awesome. This is the real history?
yeah.
Damn.
And one of my
Sounds pretty awesome.
One of my favorites was she began an affair with a Buddhist monk who she put him in charge of like certain things, like certain building projects to keep him happy. But he got super jealous of her other concubines, male concubines, cockubines, whatever we want to call them.
Concubine.
Yeah.
Yep, that should be the word. I don't
Yeah.
know if it is. But
It is now. I deem it. I just stamp
Concubines.
approval.
Yep.
I have a whole oh man, I love it. Can you have a harem of concubines or
Yeah. Is there? I guess
fleet
harem
of
still works. A
concubines?
fleet,
A murder.
a pride,
Yeah.
A pride of concubines.
a hive.
Mm-hmm.
A hive. It's probably a hive.
This Buddhist monk.
A package.
This is how
A
things get into
package
the
of
Urban
A
Dictionary.
package of concubines.
You could make the Urban Dictionary by 2017, okay?
By 2000. So we're giving ourselves some time.
It's a campaign
some
poster.
breathing room.
Just spread the word.
You have to lay the grassroots
to get
for
it
this.
into, you know,
You have to get through those Urban Dictionary preliminary caucuses.
first you have to get the kids saying. You got to get the kids using it.
Right.
Concubines.
Hashtag
Got to
it.
flee to concubines. You know,
A fleet.
feminism.
But this Buddhist monk, he becomes jealous of her other lovers, and he burns down a couple buildings, like the Imperial Meeting
Nice.
Hall, and
It's a caucus of concubines.
A
of course.
caucus of concubines.
Caucus of concubines.
He burns down the meeting hall, and the article I was reading about it, it was like, after this incident, he began to become unreasonable. Which
Oh.
is like, yeah, Well, I would hate to see
Making a
that.
mess.
So she has him ambushed and murdered.
Wow. Oof. Well, I think that was necessary.
Yeah.
Kind of necessary. This guy, ugh,
There's no breaking up with
guy
that
kinda
sort of
needs to
dude.
be handled.
If he's already setting fires, there's nothing more you
I
can
mean,
do.
he's going fatal attraction on her. You got to deal with that.
Right. Well, I mean, what do you expect when you start having an affair with a monk?
Yeah.
This guy is so passionate.
He's a Buddhist monk.
He's
so
a
it's-
Buddhist monk. He gave over himself to, I don't know, nature, life, love, spirit, whatever. This guy's going to be very passionate if you get him started again. Oof.
Yeah. That's why I have all your Buddhist monk lovers ambushed and murdered in the streets.
It's the leading cause of death among Buddhist monks.
Yeah. At this point, she was sort of taking on different advisors who were spiritual gurus. There was one man who was described in another article as being of non-Han ethnicity, and that's the only way they defined him.
Scandal.
Right. And he was like, he claimed to be 500 years old. And just
That's cool. I could get into that.
after the Buddhist monk set the fire.
I really think that violates the half your age plus 7 rule.
yeah,
May
half your age
December.
plus the creepiness standard.
Yeah.
Oh god, she's under 257. Greg, what are you doing?
Really robbing the cradle with this
500-year-old Greg.
I find it kind of sexy.
A man as old as buildings.
He's got experience.
500.
He's got experience.
He does.
But he'll never understand his stories when he's like, hey, do you remember before America? I don't, Greg.
Do you remember? No. Yeah, you stop him every time. No.
Greg, goddammit. We can't talk about anything.
Oh.
I'm also glad we named him Greg because none of the spiritual advisors predicted the fire. So she's like, well, you're all out, and just ignores all spiritual matters from that point on. During this time, there's still many uprisings coming in, and the people are starting to get a little worn down, and she's getting older and older. Her affair with a Buddhist monk happened when she was 50. Later on, she takes on these 2 brothers as lovers when she's in her 70s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoa, when she's in her 70s?
Right? It's like, get it.
Whoa.
Get it, Woo. That's...
Are they twins? Because that's a thing.
I think they were
man.
brothers of a different age. So regular brothers, whatever the word for not twins
No, I
is.
think
Still pretty
only
good, I
twins have sex with the same person, not real brothers.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a dead ringers situation.
It's only allowed. It's incestuous if it's otherwise. If it's twins, it's cool, but
Yeah, same DNA. You can't have incest with someone who has the same DNA. as you.
right.
That's,
It is just you.
It's just you.
Man, that's pretty cool. She's like,
I just
Grace
imagine
Jones.
someone trying to seduce their identical twin like that.
Dude, we're the same.
Dude, I'm you, you're me, might as well.
All of us.
All of us. In a way, I'm already inside you.
They're also
Ew.
Yeah.
Hey, bro,
also-
I'm
Felt bad
already
about that.
inside
really,
you.
really tripping on acid at this point, man. I'm you, you're me, man.
And I'm inside you.
They were
You're inside me.
and then they boned.
Yeah.
That's how
Nice.
all romantic stories.
I cannot stop thinking about porn during this story. This is crazy.
Oh, this
I had
is
no idea I was
revisionist
into, like,
after
ancient
dark.
Chinese.
I know what my next Harlequin novel is going to be about.
Nice.
I follow a lot of blogs that talk about like people's crappy self-published erotica because it's hilarious. And there's already one about like someone being seduced by a red Starbucks cup that wants to have sex with them.
That's fantastic.
So there's also a bunch of billionaire dinosaur on dude erotica. That's for a different show.
Wait, what? Billionaire dinosaur
Yeah.
on dude?
Yeah, it's called Taken by a Billionaire Dinosaur.
A billionaire dinosaur?
Because it's not enough to be like a dinosaur.
No.
He has to have a private island.
I feel like growing up religious has really limited my mind and limited my imagination. I could never imagine a billionaire dinosaur. on
Got them
dude.
bones.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic.
Oh God! Oh, that was I
know,
loved
and I'll
that, and then
Google
my
it
body
later.
rejected that a little bit. But when she takes on these brothers, they begin to grow.
She's like 70, you said.
Yeah, she's 70, and a lot of the people around her feel like they're taking advantage of her. They're
For what? What would they get? For
her position, her power, her favor.
Fine, she's like 70.
Yeah,
and she just wants to get it in. So fine. Fine. She doesn't care. What is she going to do with the power? She can't take it with her. Fine. That's fine. She's into it too. She's a smart woman. She's into it too. She doesn't care.
Exactly. But, I mean, a lot of these things were also pretext for people putting who they want in power. Mm-hmm. And so, when she's in her 70s, the son of her former husband, the Emperor Gaozong, ambushes and kills the two brothers, and then surrounds the palace and forces her to step down and name him emperor. And she dies not long after that. The tomb where she's buried next to Gaozong. According to tradition, there's a plaque in front of their tombs, and his plaque lists all of their things, and hers is blank, despite the fact that she put down rebellion after rebellion, and she started this meritocracy. She started this her own dynasty, and she was, by all accounts, a beloved and effective ruler. And also, she got it into her 70s.
Yeah.
She was able to.
Most importantly,
she was able to pull down the concubines up into her golden
most
girls
of us
years.
won't be able to do that. Okay.
No.
There's still a chance that we could become emperors, but we're not going to be getting laid in our 70s.
That's the American dream, to become emperor over all you survey.
We book a flight to China right now. We go to that plaque and just write, "Getting it as a septuagenarian."
Guys, we're going to China. Let's hop in the car.
I wish you had sponsors, major sponsors. We could do this.
Sponsored by the Chinese government. Telling us what to say, since never that they are benevolent.
Yeah.
Did you get scared just now?
A little bit.
Let's not fuck with the Chinese government, guys.
My account of the history of Wu Zetian.
Wow.
Fucked it up.
Do we applaud after this or what? Because
I can edit out. I can edit out or double up the applause in editing.
It's fascinating. That was really fascinating. There is no way to have an alternate story that is better than that. I just want to say that for the record. That was.
Don't say well. It's her story. You didn't do that.
He chose the meatiest parts for us. He didn't waste our time with that one time she went to camp.
I related.
He gave us the juicy bits. I appreciate it.
Well, Janae.
Editing is a job too. Okay, Brian, feel proud with that.
Exactly. I'm an aggregator of history, much like Huffington Post.
Yeah, in every history book right now.
Janae, if you want to take over with
your
alternate.
Real story.
Oh yeah.
The real story? Because obviously that one was fake. That was too... I mean, it was so extreme, no woman could accomplish that.
I mean, I believed you, but then she was getting it into her 70s.
Absurd. This is absurd, Brian. Are you crazy? I can tell you the real story if you want to hear it.
If Sophia from the Golden Girls can get it, then anyone can get it.
Well, she was a Hollywood actress, so...
not in the show. She was just a woman. Actually, no, I think she was an actress in the show.
Yeah.
Shit.
In Florida, an actress in Florida. I thought, yeah. She was a pretty popular girl. Okay, the real story of this boring woman.
I love that that's the angle you took with it. Just like made her as boring as possible.
Census worker.
She lived a pretty glamorous life. A lot of people don't know this, but Empress Wu Zetian was a real sweetheart. She was a real sweetheart and a lovely woman. She was orphaned as a child and adopted by a lovely couple in Macomb, Mississippi. They were all very poor, though. They really had no business taking on another child, but they did. Stacy Lynn and Bobby Joe Shao. They felt like she had a real calling on her life. Oh, so they adopted her.
I'm hoping she becomes a country singer.
They were good old Southern folks. And, you know that she was born during the same year that there was an eclipse. And so that, this is the real history of it, Brian. And they always knew that their daughter was destined for greatness. So they sold her off as a concubine when she was just 14.
Hey, if you come up easy, you're never going to amount to anything.
They wanted to give her some fight and some story. You know, she needed a story to tell. You know, and she was never going to have a story in Macomb, Mississippi.
Plus, MTV's I Was a Teenage Concubine was huge at the time.
She was 14. The energy, you know, just vibrated off of her body. She was young, but she knew what she had to do. She needed to somehow get noticed by the emperor. So she worked really hard. And she was kind of like a middle sort of concubine. She was a 5th grade concubine or grade 5 concubine, sort of a backup concubine, if you will. And she wanted to get noticed, so she worked really hard. She worked out every day to get her body really tight. And she did like loads of cardio, and she did Pilates, and she even did ballet bar to get her booty up really high. She took private dance lessons with the best choreographers of her time, Bob Fosse, Shirley Temple, you know. And the best of her time.
Wow. Shirley Temple's number 2. Bob Fosse, of course.
That's a given.
Because she wanted to
up
prove
the schools also. Is Bob Fosse is modern dance and Shirley Temple is tap.
Shirley Temple's a child actress. But she's got some skills,
I mean, theoretically, if Shirley Temple was around in 1650 AD, who knows what age she is?
That's true.
She's just an immortal.
She's an
trapped in a
eldritch
child's
being.
body.
But
really, Shirley Temple is just a title that's inherited.
Yeah, like Michael Caine.
Or she's like the Highlander, one of the two.
Right. Just going around from generation to generation teaching people how to tap a little bit. Just a little bit,
It's
though.
her until she's freed from her gypsy curse.
Oh my god, now I'm just picturing a gypsy whose like daughter got hit by a car, like, tap.
Tapper.
Fast.
Tapper. Animal crackers. Yeah. So she worked really hard under the tutelage of Shirley Temple Blackwell, and she got better and better, and her work paid off. Her husband, the Emperor Taizong, was like, "Damn, boo, I'd make you my bottom bitch." But then he died, of course, because her luck was really poor. You know, at this point, she had already lost her parents. She had been shipped off to be a concubine. And now, of course, her husband dies because that's just the way her life goes. It's just going to be a sad life for her. But she's got all this dance skill, and they send her to this nunnery, and there's no way that she can dance in a nunnery, you know? No. So she's working in this.
They follow strict footloose rules.
There's no dancing in nunneries, guys.
Right. Of course, enforced by head nun John Lithgow.
Yeah.
But her booty had her stepson and heir to the throne, Gaizhong, like, whoa. So that was cool with her, you know. He came to the nunnery, he saw her dancing, and he wanted to take her back home.
So she's breaking the rules and dancing.
She's breaking the rules.
She's fucking sister acting in this
dancing
place.
up in this nunnery anyway. You know, she's teaching hip hop after whatever nunnery class or whatever they take. She's praying, but she's like praying to a beat. So,
Nice.
she's been breaking the rules all over the place. And luckily,
She's meditating to gain mindfulness, but with some flair.
Yeah, she's chanting Tupac. She cannot get the dance out of her life. And luckily, this guy, he remembers her because she was his stepmom for a little bit, you know, and they essentially hit puberty at the same time. So he could not forget her. And he shows up at this nunnery, and there she is. And he wants to take her back home. That's cool. So they lived this jet-setting life. They were like rock stars flying all over the country and stuff. And they were best friends with Sting and Jay Leno and his wife.
So they're really cultivating pretty A-list celebrities for 1994.
Because her husband essentially becomes her manager, and he's controlling her career.
You're going to tell me Val Kilmer's in the mix next.
Because she's this fantastic dancer, and it turns out she can also sing. And this whole time, when she was his stepmom, she was just this background concubine. And now he sees her for the star that she really is. And they fly all over the world, living and loving. And he keeps having these little dizzy spells, and he's smelling toast all the time. And
half the time she is making toast for her breakfast. Because that's all they have on the plane.
They do enjoy toast on the plane.
It's great for the throat. It
this
really
is how
helps
the wealthy
you sing.
live. Toasters
Toast.
on airplanes.
They have hot bread.
Can you imagine the extravagance? A toaster on an airplane.
We could just dream bigger, guys. We could have something like that.
It's true. We're not working hard enough. I guess it's on us.
You never imagined you could have such a thing, did you? You never did.
Every time you're on an airplane, it's like, well, I'd like this toasted, but I guess I just have to deal with this regular saggy toast.
Yeah.
This regular bread. I don't know what to do
There's
with
got to
it.
be a better way.
Yeah. If you were rich, you could toast your own bread on a flight. So they're on these flights and they're toasting this bread. He's smelling toast, and she was a really smart girl. She'd studied, and she knew a lot about philosophy and medical science. And she was like, I think this dude's about to have a stroke. She kind of sensed it in her bones. And turns out he did have a stroke. So she takes him back home to China, and she kind of props him up like Weekend at Bernie's style. And she just does all the talking for him through a curtain and gives everybody this advice. And she essentially takes over all of China.
Classic Wizard of Oz techniques.
Yeah. And then she recruits all of the women in town, and she's like, you don't have to be concubines anymore. I'm going to free everybody, all my single ladies. And then all the women sort of stepped up, and they knew exactly the moves to hit. And she went around with this Amazonian concubine gang, and they terrorized China for 200 years.
Awesome. Lifespans. We're really hitting the lifespans in this one.
Yeah.
And they terrorized China. They went around raping men and teaching them to dance background in their shows. And she got really popular in these shows. And as she got older and older, she was still really sexy and respected by everyone. And then they made all the men in town get circumcised because foreskin is gross.
Totally.
And so that's where that started. The Jews stole that from Wu. That was her idea, originated by Wu's icon.
That's something you might see in a weird pamphlet also.
Something else the Jews stole. And then, she decided that she didn't need a man. She just didn't need a man, and that she would be king of it all. And so she was king of it all, including the king of pop. And
so when she said king of it all, she meant everything.
Everything.
So the mattress king also, and
mattress king,
king of Kong,
King Kunta, everything. She was king of it all, and she didn't need a man. And then to promote herself, she shot this Pepsi commercial, and there was this huge explosion.
Oh no.
Lots of
where this is going.
Fire. And so there was all this fire. She caught on fire. Her hair caught on fire. It was really terrible. But as she came through the fire, suddenly, her little eggs cracked. She had been carrying these eggs with her. And the eggs cracked. And these adult-size dragons flew out. And she became mother of dragons. And worshipped by all. And then in 1998, they made a movie about her starring Jada Pinkett Smith and Tommy Davidson called Wu. And that is...
In the movie, is there an exclamation point after the word woo?
Woo. Nope. It's just called...
Just woo.
It's just woo. Maybe there is an exclamation point. I'll have to look that up. But
IMDb.
They did make a movie about her. Jada Pinkett Smith and Tommy Davidson were in that. And that's what the movie Wu was about. It was about the first female emperor of Macomb, Mississippi.
That one swept the Academy Awards that year, I think.
Right. It was enforced that it would sweep the Academy.
What? That's 94. That's beating Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Woo, took it all.
Who took it all?
That's a strong year.
Yeah, I mean...
Swept the categories, all of them. Music categories. She did her own music videos. She did her own stunts.
And thank God it beat out Dances with Wolves. No, wait, that was Goodfellas, 92.
Goodfellas beat out Dances with... No, Dances
Dances
with
with
Wolves
beat out Goodfellas.
everything,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is absurd, which lets you know that the best movie never wins.
No.
So if you do win, your movie blows.
Guys, this is
Except
our
for Woo.
Academy Award history podcast. Oscar talk.
Janae, thank you. I also can't help but notice on your sheet you have the words LL Cool J written down. I'm just like waiting for him to, because ladies love Cool James.
Ladies love Cool James. He was in the movie Woo.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
But he wasn't like top bill.
No, he wasn't.
This was before
he
Deep Blue Sea.
played her-
Exactly. It was before then, before he even knew how to act. He didn't know how to act back then, but he kind of does now.
I think he played Bobby Lee.
In Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Lee Young.
Janae, thank you. Zach, you're serving as judge for this episode. Or you could, of course,
Yeah,
as
I'll
always,
put in my
throw it to
vote.
the audience.
I'm going to put in my vote, but I will also let the audience have their say. in the
Zach,
fairness.
I want you to know that I won't be offended if you don't choose mine, even though it's the real story. Because that other story was so extraordinary.
Pretty
It's
intense.
an amazing
Both-
story.
They're both amazing tales.
And one of them will allow us to have dragons in future stories
I kinda
that are
want
running
Cleo-
loose and
I
masterless.
kind of like the idea of Cleopatra and Wu like having a concert together that was like the biggest thing.
Ooh, yeah, like $300 tickets for
Oh my
nosebleed
god,
seats.
nobody could get in.
Yeah, that's like a concert event of the decade.
Oh my god, it was crazy. It was crazy. But
you already went. You're talking in the past tense about it.
we had a big win for real history this week already with Alfred Packer taking it. I'm going to toss my vote to the alternate this week, but
All right.
audience, my vote is but one man's voice among a sea, a democratic sea. So
Democratic.
Well, listeners, to cast your vote, you can go to revisionistpodcast.com and use the contact form. While there, you can also ask us a question, leave us a comment, or suggest a topic for a future episode.
or you can go to your local iTunes store and rate and review us.
That is also something that
Bring
is...
us up them charts.
Yeah, we have got another review in. That was very kind. Before we go, Janae, coming up, you're going to be at Lucha Libre and Laughs at the Oriental
Yeah,
Theater.
on Sunday. It's my first time doing it. I've been waiting. Nick Gossard's been a real cock tease about it.
You hear that, Gossard?
Gossip, you're getting called out.
I've been wanting to do it.
Which is great for a wrestling show, but it's a great show. And
Stop
then...
being such a concubine, Gossard.
Oh, yeah.
Concubine is a great thing to aspire to. That's what they tell young boys in ancient China.
2017, guys. Let's set some goals.
2017. 2016 is going to be like a construction year. We're going to be rebuilding, but
Yeah.
2017, that's going to be our
It's
year.
Bernie 2016, then concubine 2017.
God. You're also going to be at the Greenlight Show at Funky Buddha, November 17th.
Yeah, November 17th. That's a Tuesday. And I'll be at Comedy Works a lot.
Yes, regular Comedy Works.
Regular Comedy Works now, so I'm there too much where people are repeating my jokes to me now.
Oh, no.
That's weird. Start writing some more, Janae Burris.
And then, Zach, you are co-hosting on another podcast with a friend of ours, right?
Correct.
It's called Stage of Fools. Do you want to...
Stage of Fools, dedicated to E's first scripted drama, The Royals, which is kind of a shit show.
And that is going to be coming out the same day as this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, give that a listen. Stage of Fools.
No, Brian, hate on that.
Oh,
Hate it.
I don't have the
Listen
heart to
this
hate.
one first.
Well, yeah,
And
listen.
then if
Well,
you
you have to
still
listen to
have
this one
time.
first because I'm plugging it in
We're
this
at the end of the
episode.
show. You've completed the task.
Aha, we got you.
There's room for
It was
everyone.
a trick.
Up yours.
You listened for that great recommendation, and we put it at the very end.
Well, Janae, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Always a joy to hear you.
I was trying to imagine what he looked like based on his voice.
Pretty much like half the dudes in this town and also sort of like me. When Reskin was here, it was just like, how do we tell each other apart? I know we're in different bodies, but this is really hard. Zach, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, yeah. I do it every time.
Yep. Well, still, I'm grateful. For everyone here, I'm Brian Flynn.
I am Zach Powers.
I'm Janae Burris.
Have a good night.